Heenan says, yes, 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 which was great.
Yeah.
Like a prototype of Daniel Bryan.
Hello world, welcome to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast. I'm going to soothe you with my East Yorkshire dialect. Hello.
I think what happened is Vince McMahon went to McDonald's with Pat Patterson, and they sat there, and Pat Patterson bought a Happy Meal, and they was looking at the box, and they saw the Hamburglar, and they went, that's a great gimmick.
Because I love Hull, and I love you.
Oh, and then we have an interview with Paul Bearer. Touch my leg again, I'll break your teeth.
Hello and a very warm welcome back to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast.
Today we're looking at Royal Rumble from 1992.
Yeah.
This was a great Rumble and many people's favourite Rumble, and we're going to go for a full rundown of the pay-per-view.
Indeed.
Look at the highlights and the lowlights.
The lowlights.
The
You
lowlights.
actually have a little bit of gravy.
A gravy, do I? Nice.
There you go.
Sunday dinner.
Sunday dinner, yeah, we just had Sunday dinner.
Very good. So this took place in the Knickerbocker Arena. What type of a name is the Knickerbocker Arena? Well, you get like Knickerbocker Glory, you know, and that sort of thing. I don't understand
that
where...
cake, right? That's the cake
I don't know,
dessert.
some sort of cake or dessert, yeah.
It's a dessert of some sort.
During this pay-per-view, the title is on the line in the Royal Rumble. This is due to the Undertaker and Hogan's feud having a couple of dodgy finishes. So Jack Tunney has vacated the title, and it is on the line in this pay-per-view. It's certainly the best Rumble we've seen, isn't it, in this pay-per-view?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
But the undercard's really slow, and I think people forget sometimes that a Rumble isn't just about that match, it's about everything else. And but we'll go through that. So if you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button, comment and subscribe, and join us on the Gimme a Whole Year YouTube page. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Patreon
As well.
That's where you can spend your money on our t-shirts if you want to support.
Mugs.
And mugs, obviously, you know, if you're from Hull, then, you know, you might want a nice little mug or a t-shirt. And if you're not from Hull, you might want to pretend like you're from Hull.
You might do.
That's what you can do with Gimme a Hull. Yeah, you could pretend like you like us. Because we're beautiful and brilliant, and definitely do not have food in our teeth or
there we go.
Round our mouth. It's gone now.
Is it gone? Good. First match is the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji.
What the bollocks was going on with them masks, man? Like, not that I've got a problem with like
what with his wrestling mask.
The Orient Express. It wasn't.
Well, the Orient Express had a mask, but it was only after Sato had left that the masked one came in.
It was a bit like odd.
I quite liked it. It was fine. Foreign heels. So it was the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji versus the New Foundation, which had Owen the Rocket Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
He's not letting me call him out on his dodgy comment.
No, there were foreign heels. There was supposed.
So
there was there to get heat.
Okay, cool.
That's all it was.
But
that's where
the mask comes from.
No, not necessarily where the mask comes from, but you know, that's part of the gimmick. You know, and it was interesting. And these two put on an incredible match with the Rockers at an earlier pay-per-view, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
A really incredible.
You're a big fan. I'm less of a fan. But
really?
Not because like I say, not because I don't like them as performers and their background, because we'll research them. I appreciate them as good workers, but not necessarily a fan of them as much as you are.
Both former sumo wrestlers. I think they were great, and I think that they'd put them on in this place in the card to give an exciting match like they'd done with the Rockers. I don't think it lived up to that sort of standard quite.
No. I think that it was important. I'm just going to shift my mic a little bit so you can hear my sultry, seductive tones a little better. Hello world, welcome to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast. I'm going to soothe you with my East Yorkshire dialect. Owen, it was great to see Owen Hart.
Yes, well, Owen Hart is back as Owen Hart, not the Blue Blazer.
The Rocket Owen Hart, which is how we would grow to know and love/hate him in the later part of the 90s.
Yes, when the reformed league.
Before he became the Nugget.
Yeah, well, the New Foundation was currently undefeated at this point. Owen had left his Blue Blazer gimmick, and there's a series of moves early on, which is impressive from Owen. There's a lot of leapfrogs and sort of backflips off the ropes and stuff like that.
He was always really good at those, yeah.
He was a very talented performer. However, I do feel that it was all a little slow. And although it was very talented compared to the other wrestlers that we get in the ring at this point, if it had been a level faster, it would have been as good potentially as the Rockers match.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not compare to that sort of level because that's a pay-per-view that we just recently covered on the channel. Owen had some really incredible talent with arm drags off the top rope and stuff like that, diving around.
What was it with that kind of race driver, spark plug Bob Holly kind of attire?
I know, man, it was bad. It was like blue pants, one had blue, one had red.
Pajama bottoms.
And then the Grand Prix flag.
Yeah. It was a bit like, what were they going for there, you know what I mean?
I guess it was Grand Prix, I don't know, really. I don't really like the look. It was very 80s, and actually we're entering the 90s now in more of a sort of grunge period.
I think they both had their head, their headbands, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. Again, carrying on with the match, there was a couple of really nice flips off the turnbuckles, over an opponent, a real insight into his ability actually at this point, and what it had later become, because Owen Hart has some spectacular matches. Incredible. Especially at WrestleMania 10, which is outstanding.
Yeah, I think he was one of the, like I say, always one of the people that we bring up most podcast episodes now when he's around and say, one of the most underrated people and also one of the most sad, we talk about Jake the Snake not winning a world title.
Yes.
Owen Hart. I mean, who knows what would have happened for him if he'd have.
He had some success, with
Intercontinental champion, European champion.
Yeah.
Like he did very. I think he won everything but, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuji uses his cane to get the advantage on Owen Hart, meaning that the Orient Express have the advantage for a while. And the Orient Express, man, they both had some really nice-looking super kicks. We talk about Haku's kick is brilliant. The Orient Express had a fantastic kick as well, man.
Super kick party, man.
Super kick party. Young Bucks, man.
Yeah, man. Class.
Owen Hart gets Irish whipped into the corner with Fuji's cane there. Completely breaks the cane in half. It looks nice. It's a nice dramatic moment.
Yeah.
Neidhart gets in for a nice looking slingshot, taking down both of the Orient Express when he gets a tag. Again, really nice moves. Neidhart throws Owen off the top rope for the finisher, the rocket launcher, to get the 3 count.
That was nice. I like that.
Nice finisher,
good little name. And like I say, can't really get over the terrible attire. Didn't look quite as good as we've looked in the past together, I mean?
No, we've never worn them pants. We should get ourselves a pair of pants like that.
Well, you want some Rick Rude pants, don't you?
I want some Rick Rude pants,
I'm still trying to find,
man.
If anybody knows where I could buy Anthony for a Christmas gift, some bespoke Rick Rude pants where I can put my face on either his inner thigh or his bum. Not actually like put my face there physically, but just like a spray paint, just to put him off in future podcasts.
That'd be fun.
We'll do that.
This was also the final pay-per-view match and the first pay-per-view match for the new foundation due to Anvil the Neidhart's drug issues that he had. He left the company for a period short afterwards, and Owen had ended up working more with his brother in an angle around that, which was a great angle, man.
It's coming up, isn't it? It's coming up thick and fast.
We're getting there, man. We're nearly into some really good stuff. We see a video of Bret Hart being beaten by the Mountie at a house show for the Intercontinental Championship.
He was very ill, had a fever.
Apparently. Kayfabe. Didn't necessarily really have a fever. Actually, he was negotiating his contract, and that's why he lost the belt. And the fever was just a way to make sure. Yeah, absolutely. Piper comes out during this house show to attack Mountie. I was saying to you, the house show looks really small, doesn't it?
Well, even these days, man, some really poor attendance at house shows these days.
There is, but when I've been to the UK house shows, they're at really big arenas, like First Direct Arena, which is a really big-sized arena,
Yes, it is.
And it's sold out really well. It's weird. I think when they tour America, it seems like the houses that they play, probably because they're touring more often, are a lot smaller than what we get in the UK, which is interesting. Which is why we should have a bloody pay-per-view in England, man.
Well, it's on. I think it's coming.
I hope so, man. I hope so. An interview with the Mountie, saying the Mountie always gets his man. Bit of a standard interview here. And then an interview with Roddy Piper, says the Mountie is one of the original Village people. I can sort of agree with Roddy on this, actually.
Roddy's work here is very much akin to a Randy Savage. That kind of crazy, weird, almost Dean Ambrose-esque kind of, intensity, but also, kind of crazy. And I really dig it. I think he's probably
good.
One of the top 3, in my opinion. Jake, Macho, and Piper at this time.
At this time, interesting. No, I prefer the natural disasters. Actually,
What?
in promo, I much prefer the natural disasters. I think, especially in this pay-per-view,
they're a terrible tag team,
but in this pay-per-view,
they've got a terrible image and they've got terrible mic skills.
I don't think they do. I am not wrong.
Just because they both look like you, and
Roddy
they've got like they
look like me. What? Because I'm a boarding.
Hang on. No, I was just I have no grounds in that. I was just trying to be mean, but because I reckon you'd fit in well with the natural disasters. You could be
because I'm a former sumo wrestler.
No.
I look nothing like the natural disasters.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit of tugboat, typhoon,
Shockmaster.
Shockmaster.
I think we'll get into who you look like in a second.
Natural disasters.
I like the natural disasters, man.
Dick.
You like Zeus and the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, but Zeus and the Bushwhackers are awesome, man.
No, they're not. Man.
We actually see them later, again. So we're going to do it again.
And we'll talk about them when we get to them, because that was a cracking match. Roddy Piper versus the Mountie is next with Jimmy Hart.
I can't take the Mountie seriously, I'm sorry.
He was a talented guy, though, in the ring. And actually, this was a really good match. This was a really good match from Roddy as well. I'm not a massive Roddy fan. I think he was a brawler, but I don't think he was a great wrestler in terms of technique. But in this match, you actually see a lot more wrestling from him, which is good. Mountie starts off threatening with his cattle rod. Hot Rod throws his kilt over the Mountie to get an early advantage.
That's nice, yeah.
A lot more wrestling. Would you like to have had your Piper's kilt?
We've had this discussion before because he did it before.
Did he?
I don't think I would. No,
okay.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
I mean, I imagine, let's just look at it objectively. I imagine, he's been in that kilt for a while. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's had his shower maybe early in the night. He's been in that kilt for a few hours while he, warms up a little bit. Maybe does some lunges.
Yeah, some lunges.
I'm not down with that. You know what I mean?
All right then. Let's go into the Bushwhackers. Would you have enjoyed the Bushwhackers licking you as a child?
As a child?
Yeah.
Nah, I'd have thought it was weird.
It was pretty weird.
I mean, now you'd be like, "Hey, Bushwhacker Luke," and he'll be like, "Ah," and you'd be like, "Yeah, you're a bit weird, but
a bit of a weird old dude, man."
Hey, Bushwhacker Luke.
But I just
and
got
you do the
licked.
thing, and I got licked by the Bushwhackers. Ah ha ha. Whereas like if you got licked by the Bushwhackers as a kid, that's that could potentially, because obviously they're quite interesting looking dudes, you know what I mean? Maybe some mental scarring there.
I think so.
Have you been licked by a Bushwhacker?
Yeah, let us know. I'd love
please
to.
email and contact us, and we will give you Bushwhacker lick counselling. Counselling. Lick counselling.
Lick counselling. Very good. A lot more wrestling moves from Piper in this
Salivated on by a Bushwhacker? Call, give me a whole
Boom! Like the advert. There was a lot more wrestling moves from Piper. A nice bulldog at one point. So, really nice bulldog.
I love brawlers, you see. So we have a difference of opinion here. I love the fact that he's a brawler, but you're right. He has a good.
He does a bit of wrestling here, which is good.
Run here, yeah.
Working over the foot on the ropes as well, which was some really nice work. Mountie had a really good showing as well. He was a talented wrestler. The problem was his gimmick was a bit crap. It was a anti-American Canadian heel. That's what it was. He was sort of very much the anti-bossman at the time, and it wasn't that. You also had a lot of enforcers in the WWF at the time, with Sid Justice now come in, who's going to make sure justice prevails. And
what was it? What was the comment about a roided up Dolph Ziggler?
Oh man, he did. Someone I was reading. Someone that had put that he looks like a roided Dolph Ziggler, and I was like, that's so goddamn true.
Yeah.
We see him do a nice flying elbow. This is the Mountie, which was very similar to what we'd seen with the Undertaker in that iconic shot in the Hogan match.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, man. When the Mountie connects with Jimmy Hart on the apron, he ends up being put in a sleeper hold from Piper, and the Mountie submits. Piper takes out the cattle prod and prods the Mountie.
Prods the Mountie, yeah, prods.
Poking the Mountie with his shocking stick. And that was the first title win for Piper. Go on.
Do you think it was as shocking as the Shockmaster?
Do I think it was as shocking as the Shockmaster? No.
No, nothing's as shocking.
Nothing is as shocking as the Shockmaster.
Would you like to take the Mountie's cattle prod?
Sorry, say again.
Would you like to take? I was trying to be like
sedate.
I was trying to be sedate. I was trying to relax into it. Would you like to take the Maltese cattle prod and relax into that?
No, I wouldn't. But thanks for offering.
He seems like a fine young man.
The Rouge, maybe his brother Ray.
There you go, maybe Ray. Just imagine it's lovely Ray.
So that was the first ever title win for Roddy Piper, and sort of a big moment. He wasn't the guy that ever wanted to win a title. He was happy being the person that was chasing. It was in an interview that I read because I research.
Well done.
There you go. So no, he was always quite happy to be the person chasing the title as opposed to holding a title. And this was the only title success that he had in a very long career. I mean, Roddy was at WrestleMania 1 and he was such an over character at this point as well. And it was basically because there was contract signings with Brett going on and they didn't want Brett to have it while there was negotiating the contract, which is fair enough, I think. Yep. Then we have an interview with Hulk Hogan, not his normal promo.
I prefer this. Like, this was alright.
Yeah, it was alright, wasn't it?
It was less, well, it was still cheesy as fuck.
Yeah, it was less like in your face rubbish.
You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah. No, but sometimes I like that as well. Maybe we're just a bit bored of Hulk, I think. Maybe.
A bit of overexposure to the...
It wasn't like the
yellow and red
roided
attack.
Up yellow red attack that he normally was. It was with Alfred Hayes as well, and it was for Colosseum's videos.
Freaking hate Alfred Hayes.
I don't like Alfred Hayes. I remember you saying once that you liked him, and
it's like, nah, no.
He felt so out of place. You know, he was actually like he was a fighter in real life.
Yeah. We did some research on him. Yeah.
So then we go into an interview with the Bushwhackers, where they say the Beverly sisters, referring to the Beverly brothers, have a surprise in store. Jameson is the new manager, and this is what I was going to say, Dom. You remind me a lot of Jameson.
What? Why?
Because you're a little bit nerdy, and sometimes you wipe your nose with a sock.
I have done that.
I bet you have.
Go on, give me,
And I can imagine when you was at school, you was the kid with a tie on that used to like chew his tie.
I do chew my tie.
There we go. You are Jameson. Congratulations for admitting every part of Jameson's character gimmick that you are.
I'm not sure about this, but I know a little bit about Jameson. John Digiacomo. I've got that wrong. John Digiacomo. A.k.a. Jameson Wing. I apologise, Jameson. I'm just going to call you Jameson because clearly I can't pronounce real names. If you're watching this, I apologise for getting your name wrong. He was a Wall Street exec turned stand-up comedian, and then basically Vince McMahon kind of caught his attention and told him to come in to be kind of like a foil for Bobby Heenan, kind of like a weird sidekick. And he had a couple of appearances on the Bobby Heenan show in the early 90s before kind of returning to... He basically ended up becoming a manager of a major comedy club in New York, so he's gone back to comedy now, and you can see totally why he would.
Oh, he was a great character.
He's a good performer.
In fact, I remember from watching this pay-per-view, I remember him as part of the storyline.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole part at the end of the match. I think it's one of them things. The Bushwhackers. We was talking about this before, like. You like the Bushwhackers. I'm not bothered either way, but you've got fond memories of the Bushwhackers. But watching back these pay-per-views, what do you think of them now?
I'm not a great fan of them. You can as much as I enjoy doing the gestures and giving you a good look in the podcast. It's funny and it's silly, but to watch them in the ring, it's a bit like how. I'm trying to think of a reason, sort of a modern day equivalent almost to.
And maybe if I was going modern day equivalent, what was the cheerleading squad that Dolph Ziggler was a part of? I remember.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Have a think about that.
The Spirit Squad.
Spirit Squad.
Yeah.
Maybe if something like the Spirit Squad would but I mean,
well, they were actually not bad in the ring. Like if you,
but in the second run that they did, when they came back, it was just there was sort of a comedy team.
Yeah. You're right. They did. Yeah, they came back more recently, didn't they? They did, 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, about a year ago. Yeah, only about a year ago.
As did the Headbangers.
Yes, they did, yeah,
By the way.
briefly. I know, yeah.
Love the headbangers.
So then we have the interview with the Bushwhackers, and obviously the manager's chewing his tie and sock in his pocket. So the next match is
He's got really greasy hair.
He does, yeah. He looks the part. He looks like Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
He looks great, man.
Feed me, Seymour.
Feed me. So we have the Beverly Brothers with the Genius versus the Bushwhackers with
the
Dom.
Bushwhackers. Fuck off.
You do look very much like Jameson.
You're such a dickhead.
Let him know in the comments below, people. Bushwhackers are on child licking form tonight. They go around licking most of the audience.
Really wrong.
I know exactly what it sounds like, and it looks really wrong as well, to be perfectly honest. The Bushwhackers play to the crowd loads at the start of the match. It goes on forever. I don't know who decided that putting these two in like a 15-20 minute match was a good idea.
Very odd, really.
Really terrible.
One of the worst match on the worst
easily
match on
the worst match on the card.
Yeah, not a fan of. Like I said, not a fan of the Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers in the ring.
But what they did is they were playing to the crowd, but even the crowd sounded like they were getting bored of it. You know, It didn't really do out. Bushwhackers tried to start a chant of "sissy" at one point, but it didn't really work. Yeah, they keep clearing the ring at the start of the match.
Yeah.
The Beverly Brothers were good. We saw them have a good match at Survivor Series. It wasn't necessarily a good match, but we appreciated their work.
Yeah, nice finisher, decent
and
work.
This was just, they were a new team in the WWF, and putting them with this was just a waste of time. It was awful. Genius is bullying Jameson outside the ring. That's probably the most interesting part of the match. Jameson looks a bit like Milhouse. You look a bit like Milhouse.
Are you kidding me? What are you on about? Why do I like Milhouse?
From Simpsons.
I know exactly Milhouse from The Simpsons. I've got longer hair. I'm not wearing glasses. You're an asshole.
Thank you. You look yellow.
You look like Earthquake and Typhoon. You're fat and balding.
You've already said that. Next.
No, because I wasn't. I'm only kidding. I don't actually think you're fat and balding.
But I don't think you're yellow
just
either.
Being mean.
I know. I can't. The podcast can be as mean as we want to each other.
To be fair, I did.
I take your insult first, and now you take mine. Just because mine's more relevant.
Not as much as you'd like to take the Mounties cow prod.
Awesome. No action in the ring, which means they show the managers more, which was okay, I suppose, but why? I don't see the point in the match. I don't know what to say about the match. It was just poor all the way through. Yeah, let us know, in the comments how... If you've watched any of these pay-per-views back, the difference that you felt as a child watching a act like the Bushwhackers, and how it is now going back and watching it, because
there's a lot of like I say, the cartoon era was very much geared. I mean, a lot of it was geared towards kids, wasn't it? For the most part, wrestling in the 80s and the 90s was full of characters that were supposed to evoke emotions in kids and inspire kids to buy stuff and scare kids and that kind of thing.
But you also had it. But even Macho Man was an incredible worker, and he'd sell to kids as well because he looked great.
Well, absolutely. But these days, and I think it's a very big split. I think it's a split between I think adults our age and older. And young people. It's an incredible split between, because obviously you've got a lot of young kids that go for Roman Reigns, and you've got kids that
people don't go for Roman Reigns. Nobody likes Roman Reigns.
The kids do. We as long-time wrestling fans, or smarks, or whatever you want to call us, we go for the AJ Styles and the workhorses, the Daniel Bryan's.
Talented workers, yeah,
exactly. But the Bushwhackers and the natural, well, not the natural disasters, just shit. But these characters, flipping Mountie, they're all geared towards children.
Yeah, but then you've got teams like the Legion of Doom, who were also geared towards children, but in the look, and you had kids dressing up as them. Yeah. You had people. There was Iconic to buy the figures and stuff like that, as I'm sure many of us had as children.
I did the figures. Yeah.
But the Legion of Doom were really talented in the ring. The Bushwhackers were really talented in the ring, not in the WWF though.
Yeah, we need to do this. We need to do this. Yeah, you've mentioned it.
The sheep herders, their matches were brutal. This is the Bushwhackers, splitting the heads open, really hardcore, and that's before they got into WWF.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of WWF packaging them that way, and they did the best that they could with it.
The animated, the childhood, they were packaged as a kids,
which is sad.
Kids thing, and it is sad.
And it's boring to watch these days.
Like I say, you go where the money is, and obviously, people. There was a lot of people that's changed their gimmicks over time, and I mean, these days you're lucky if you're not repackaged in some form. You've got AJ Styles, Samoa Joe managed to keep their names, but purely because of their popularity.
Yeah,
but there's still,
and I think there's a rights issue.
Still,
as well.
Still to this day, still to this day. We were talking about, guys with a legacy of Shane Douglas in ECW and WCW being repackaged as a school teacher, Dean Douglas, and these guys must have been so disillusioned. But of course, when you've got that kind of money on offer, if you're a tag team from New Zealand who's been used to brutal barbed wire matches or whatever,
foreign heels,
and then WWE comes and calls and says, we're going to make you lick people and make you do a funny dance. I mean, what if Vince McMahon called us now and was like, hey, stop insulting me on the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast, which I happened upon when I was scrolling the internet for weird porn, because there's obviously that episode where we get naked, so obviously Vince is going to be scrolling for that. Stop doing that and come and work for me and be the gobbledygookers, because I want to make you look ridiculous. Would you turn it down?
Depends on the money, doesn't it?
Well, exactly.
It depends on what
if we were offered the money,
yeah.
Would you dress in a chicken suit with me?
I get it. I do get it. I just don't appreciate it, I suppose. I'm
actually genuine. I'm actually asking you a genuine. If we literally got that phone call and we were asked to dress in a chicken suit and be a tag team for WWE, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. So during the match, the Genius slaps Jameson outside of the ring. The crowd goes mental. He hit me. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it reminds me of Woody Allen.
Yes, a little bit of Woody Allen, yes. Or Buddy Holly even. Beverly Brothers get a win after an axe handle from the top rope. Bit of a week ending.
Yes, very weak.
Bushwhackers battering ram everyone out the way, get the Genius into the ring, and then Jameson kicks him. The crowd go, yay!
Yeah, all this weird. He's winding up. Jameson winding up. It's just like, come on, mate, just.
What a waste of time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a waste of time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So then we have the Natural Disasters with Jimmy Hart versus the Legion of Doom. Hawk at the start of the match can't take down Typhoon until he does a clothesline off the top rope. This was a regular sort of thing. One of the problems I have with Earthquake and Typhoon is it gets quite predictable. So they have the whole knockdown sequence. They tend to have the running into each other sequence.
Yeah.
We'd see the Avalanche in the corner from the Natural Disasters, which I thought looked great, a real call card of the two, and I think that's why I like the Natural Disasters. I think when you had a big guy like that and he was jumping into the turnbuckle with you, he was like, ooh, and even as a kid I was like, ooh, and as an adult I don't mind it. I think I agree with what you're saying. They do look like two really out of shape wrestlers. One of them was ex-sumo.
It wasn't necessarily that I don't have a problem with bigger dudes. I don't have a problem with the bigger guys. It's just, if you're going to be big, I want you to look intimidating. These people look like...
I think they were intimidating.
Nah, man, they were. Especially
I thought the promos were great.
Especially not. You can't take them seriously when they've, do you remember the last pay-per-view in the Survivor Series where they had a nice little cuddle?
Oh, yeah, I get that. I mean, they do become a first tag team at some point in the near future. And I do. I mean, that was the storyline thing. That you're right. It was more of a face move than a heel move at Survivor Series. But yeah, I like him anyway. Earthquake and Typhoon dominate for a lot of the match, but there wasn't enough moves. It would have been nice to see Earthquake use a little bit more of his sumo background, actually. Animal knocks down Earthquake and Typhoon with a big clothesline. It's ironic that at the start of the match they can't get anyone down, but then towards the end of the match they can get both of them down with one clothesline. All four of them scrap outside the ring. Typhoon gets in. The Legion of Doom are counted out, so we have a Natural Disasters win by count out. But obviously that's not good for the titles, so they celebrate with the titles, but then Legion of Doom pick up the chairs, chase out the Natural Disasters and retain the titles.
I mean, it was, like I said, it was okay. I think Hawk looked better than usual. Animal looked strong. Natural Disasters, I just can't take them seriously as intimidating heels.
Cool.
Sorry. But Legion of Doom, a better performance from them than normal. What would you think?
Legion of Doom, I preferred their Survivor Series match, if I'm honest. I liked the way that there was using more height to try and take down the Earthquake and Typhoon. I thought that made it more believable. And then we have a massive interview segment. So this is prior to the Rumble. So we have Jimmy Hart, who is angry that they haven't won the titles due to a count out. That's Earthquake and Typhoon.
It went pretty crazy, actually. It was quite good.
I think Earthquake and Typhoon did a really good job in this promo. And they're really irate and they come back and they're, you got me. And to some extent, I wish they brought that element of the promo into the ring with them a little bit more. Yeah. And I think that would have made them more interesting.
If they were more angry and did less bouncing, as in literal bouncing around, trying to simulate typhoons or earthquakes. If they just took people out, or just dominated, threw them around the ring, whatever, just didn't.
But I like Earthquake's finisher, like the teabag. Sorry,
exactly. You don't even take them seriously. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but bands like the Banzai Drop was just it was a repackaging of that, and I think it looks devastating. And actually, as a move,
the Banzai Drop does, yeah.
Yeah, but so does the Earthquake's finisher. If he was to actually slip back or something like that, it could really actually hurt someone. Yeah. So then we have, they come in, an interview with Piper. He talks about a 15-year-old kid becoming a champion.
I just had a weird thing where, like, I imagine taking a Banzai Drop. How weird would that be?
Yeah, man.
You're also just laying there. With most finishes, they're quite instantaneous. They're like, boom. Whereas you gotta wait till a dude does like 3 or 4, he's like, wobbling up and down on the ropes and then goes, sits on you basically.
Yeah, it'll have been a really intimidating move to take,
Yes.
And I don't know if it had the impact that it was worth, but I mean...
Yokozuna, man. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
fair
enough. So the house promo was better than normal for me personally. I really enjoyed the Michaels, the plug-in of Michaels. It showed you just how much they wanted to... They were investing in him at the time because he... they wanted to refresh what he did to Marty Jannetty. Yeah,
well, they're going to the Barbershop segment. So since the last pay-per-view, this was only a week ago, before this pay-per-view, we have the Barbershop segment, which I'm sure you've all seen, which involves Shawn Michaels super kicking Marty Jannetty and then throwing him through the window, which was a shocking... It was a way better sort of turnout than the Survivor Series mini breakup that we see, or the foreshadowing. Shawn Michaels actually says that he's saved Jannetty from getting a beating from 29 other guys, which I thought was a real nice line as well.
Yes.
So there was a Piper interview, going back a second, and he talks about a 15-year-old kid becoming a champion.
That's him, basically.
I get it was him, but it didn't really make any sense.
He didn't word it very well, did he?
No. He wasn't 15, was he?
Well, no.
No.
It looked odd.
He's got his eyes on the prize. And then there's a lot of mention of if Roddy wins the Rumble tonight, he'll be the first person to win both belts in the same night. So there's sort of a lot of hints towards that being a thing, which is a nice way of... a nice swerve ball, I suppose. Ric Flair interview next. He's drawn number 3, but it doesn't matter. He will last an hour if he needs to.
Impossible.
No one could last an hour in a Rumble. And then we have a Macho Man promo. He's been to the top of the mountain and he's going back. He wants to get his hands on Jake. So we're continuing with the awesome feud that we loved from this Tuesday in Texas. And the snake bite and that awesome match with him and Elizabeth begging and the sexual deviancy behind Jake. Love it all, man. Love it all. Then we have Sid Justice. Said something. Bit bored.
No, I was actually really impressed with Sid's promo this time. Yeah, he was doing it through gritted teeth. Sid Justice will do this.
I thought he was...
I liked it.
I think he was struggling in terms of... He was a face, but there was turning him heel this Rumble. And I think he was struggling on finding that balance. I think he was maybe playing it a bit too more.
Much better heel than face in general. But,
agreed.
I like cheering him.
He looks like a roided up Dolph Ziggler.
I like cheering him as a face back in the day, but
Yeah. So then we get Repo Man, general thing. Bulldog, who referred to his hometown as London.
Yep.
Not true. False information.
I think he was doing that just because he knows that Americans have no idea where anything outside of London is.
Exactly.
Except for Manchester and maybe Liverpool. Nobody has a clue where Hull is.
No.
Whenever I bought, because I have a lot of American friends, whenever I've brought them back here to Hull, they've been like, "Where are we?" They freak out. They obviously have no idea. They think like Manchester's the north and London's the south, and that's
right. We are the end of the earth.
Arse end of the M62. They call us, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. I believe they do. They do.
They do. The world does.
The world does. Well, there was a great poem actually in the 18th century which sort of got Hull quite a bad reputation, and it was all about Hull being the end of the train line, which was sort of an insult that because Hull is the end of the train line. They had trains that went out to Hornsey later on, but yeah, that's where a lot of the bad stick for Hull comes from. But I love Hull. Hull is one of the greatest cities that I've ever lived in.
I don't live here yet, but I will.
You've lived here in the past.
Because I love Hull, and I love you.
Oh, and then we have an interview with Paul Bearer. Touch my leg again, I'll break your teeth. Paul Bearer and The Undertaker. He says they've got 29 caskets made. Hulk Hogan, the Hulkamaniacs, are going to prove that they're winners. Yeah. He mentions a cup of tea twice here. He mentions it earlier on.
Yeah.
Had Hogan just found out the delights of a good brew?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Maybe. I think that's what he had done.
I was going to cheers you.
Put your little finger out then. You got it.
All right, yeah.
Oh, British. We see Jack Tunney bring down the belt and informs everyone that the heavyweight championship is on the line. Hogan and Undertaker, this wasn't mentioned in the pay-per-view, but they were promised numbers between 20 and 30, and this was due to the fact that they were the ones in title contention prior to it. So first in we have the British Bulldog. Second in we have Ted DiBiase. These two, I tell you what, Bulldog did a really good match. Really good in this match.
He's one of the best showings of this whole thing for me, actually.
He's not the best showing, but he's one of.
Yeah,
one of.
Said, yeah.
Ted DiBiase does great. Bulldog does great. Fast action from him immediately. They didn't go straight into a over-the-top rope segment either. They did some wrestling in the ring, and that was really great. A good start, good strong start to the Rumble. Throw each other around the ring a lot of suplexes. DiBiase nearly throws Bulldog over at one point, but Bulldog recovers and then throws him out. So we have Bulldog stood in the ring by himself waiting for the next person, and I love that moment. Yeah. We get another moment of that actually in the Rumble. Yeah. Number 3 to enter is Ric Flair. Woo! Whoa! Looks very focused tonight. Struts around the ring. Bulldog presses up in the air with Ric Flair. That looked awesome. Fantastic. So lifting Flair above his head and just...
I wonder if they worked together. They probably did in WCW, but I'd love to have seen more of those two.
Yes.
They're fantastic.
I think Bulldog really looked after Flair actually a lot in this match, because Flair did a lot of work in this match. A hell of a lot of work, and told a lot of stories in the ring. Yeah. And I think Bulldog was... He must have talked to Bulldog a lot, because he seemed to be the reliable person that he'd go back to a lot. Yeah. And they did some great work together, the pair of them. Bulldog looked beast when he was press
really
upping
good.
Ric Flair in the air. Is that what you'd call it?
Pressing, yeah.
Pressing, yeah. Next up at number 4, we have Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys. He goes after Bulldog, giving Flair a little breathing room. Yeah. Both of them team up on Bulldog, and eventually Bulldog throws Sags over. Yeah. Sags stands on apron and recovers, but Bulldog drop kicks him. Really nice, quick, beautiful. Get in, beautiful. Go out, and let's get back to Bulldog and Flair. Yep. Really fantastic. Great stories, man. Flair at this point starts begging Bulldog to leave him alone. Obviously, the cowardly Flair, which was great, and we see a lot of this from Flair all the way throughout. We see low blows, we see the cheats, we see the
trademark stuff. Yeah,
falls so much. It's a really great showing.
It's a really nice moment where he falls. You know, I think he's the only person in the ring, and he's so tired he just
falls. Yeah. Next in we have Haku, who goes after Bulldog, and then eventually even goes after the Flair. The woo! He goes after Flair, and the crowd pop at this point, because nobody'd expect a Heenan family member to go after Flair. Heenan's been a big advocate for Flair all the way through this, and actually Heenan was one of the best things about this match. Heenan's commentary was outstanding, man. Yeah,
very
all
impressed.
The way through the match.
I'm not even a great fan of Heenan, but really, really impressed me this time.
So good. He was pushing for Flair to win all the way through, and it was really well done. So when you get the final result, it really worked. This was actually the final WWF match for Haku until he returned in 2001 as the Rumble surprise entrant.
Yeah.
There you go. So
Nice
Haku's gone
man.
for a while, which is sad because Haku, I think we've both said, so let's take a little time out to talk about Haku. We both said he was phenomenally good.
Yeah, well, he's one of the most underrated.
Underrated, yeah. Absolutely underrated. We're going to do an underrated video in a couple of weeks' time, so keep an eye out for that, and we'll let you know where Haku is if Haku's on that list. Next up, we have a nice pile driver from Haku to Bulldog. Bulldog was a big guy, you know,
Yeah.
to get a good-looking pile driver on him takes some strength, and he did great. And then Flair, as soon as Haku was down, comes in and takes advantage of Haku, which is great sort of heel, cowardly, you know, going in and taking the punch and then running away. Awesome stuff. Bulldog slams Haku out, leaving Flair and Bulldog again, so we get to see them two back at it. Next in, we have Shawn Michaels, who had a good showing in this Rumble.
Yes.
This is his first time as a singles competitor in the pay-per-views that we've been watching. We see a great super kick. Well, no, it wasn't great. We see a super kick to Flair in his face, which is about 2 foot away from his face at one point. I love a super kick, but that was really poorly done.
Not the best.
And then he's nearly taken out by Bulldog. We see Bulldog and Shawn Michaels obviously do a lot of work in one of the later Rumbles. Is it 94 or 95?
95.
When Michaels and Bulldog enter,
Bulldog, and then
they're the last two.
Well, yeah. And Brett, there's a lot to do with that.
And it's the one where Shawn Michaels only gets 1 foot on the floor.
Yeah.
That's one of the best moments in Rumble history.
No, it's not Brett, it's Luger, isn't it? Luger's the other one that's close by.
I think 94 is Brett and Luger, I think, and that's when they both go out at the same time.
It's the same kind of vibe, isn't it? But
95, I believe, is only a minute long every entrant as well. It's a bit weird. Yeah. Anyway, we'll review that in the future. So if you're enjoying this review so far, please like, comment, and subscribe, and join us on our Gimme a Whole Year YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Patron,
a patron as well. Absolutely.
Check us out, buy our stuff.
Super kick to Flair, which goes nowhere near his face. Michaels gets viciously hung up on the top rope at one point with Bulldog, and that looked great, man. And Bulldog starts.
They've got such
great
such
chemistry
through later years as well. Huge matches.
Yeah.
Huge matches.
Yeah.
It's so sad, isn't it, when you lose? So, you know, with a lot of guys, you know, you get like Michaels. You feel like you've fulfilled a career. You feel like he's done everything there is to do. Undertaker, same. Mick Foley, same. Stone Cold, while it was cut short, I feel like he achieved, The Rock. You couldn't really do much more. You look at guys like the Bulldog and Jake the Snake, and you think, and obviously Jake the Snake's still alive, but in terms of in ring,
personal problems,
what could just like tragic, but also fascinating what they could have achieved.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Davey Boy Smith would have been the first. UK
easily
UK born world heavyweight champion. I believe that now. I think we've.
And who do you believe is going to be now?
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne. So do I. Next in at number 7, we have Tito Santana. Tito. We've been watching his pay-per-view for a while
sorry
now.
for Tito, man.
He's so good in the ring. Like, he always makes things so exciting. Goes after Flair first, of course. Flair does a nice back suplex on Tito, followed by a low blow on Bulldog. Really great work from Flair here.
Yeah.
In at number 8, we have the Barbarian, who focuses a lot on Flair during this match. So the sort of storyline that it's going into is anyone that comes in, sometimes the heels don't, but generally the face will end up going after Flair.
Yeah.
And it's all about Flair's struggle to get from number 3 to the end.
There's a lot of people as well at this point, around this time, people were starting to cheer for Flair. People were starting to
Flair had a massive following.
There were the people. There was a lot of audience who didn't cross over from WWE to the NWA. There was very much a rivalry there. And then people didn't believe, if you were a Hogan fan, they didn't believe that Ric Flair was the real world champion, etc. Even McMahon at the beginning, he's like alleged world champion Ric Flair. And it was amazing because throughout this course of the Rumble, even though Ric Flair is probably one of the most renowned heels in history, you can't help but appreciate that work ethic.
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Almost like an anti-hero type vibe on this.
Yeah. Next in, we have Texas Tornado. We see him, even Texas Tornado, going after Flair, but obviously they had a lot of history from the territories as well, so people were excited to see that. Davey Boy Smith did a great slingshot onto Shawn Michaels at this point. There was a lot of action going on, and there was a lot of really great work going on, and I think that's why this Rumble is fondly remembered by a lot of people. Next in, we have the Repo Man, who, again, great character work, sneaks around the ring before he gets in. At this point, we see a nice running crossbody in the ring from Tito and Barbarian. What they also did in this Rumble that they didn't always do before is they left the middle of the ring available for people to do them exciting spots at times. Then there was Flair and Barbarian, who teamed up on the Texas Tornado with some great chops to the body. We started to see some real nice chops to the body, especially from Flair and who is it that comes in later on? Flair and Greg the Hammer Valentine got some awesome...
Hammer Man just doesn't, he was all right today.
He did well, yeah. So next in is Greg the Hammer Valentine. And he goes after Flair, as each of the faces do. And they were chopping each other for ages, and, it was great. Yeah, it was good.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you down. Yeah. Great work. And that was what was nice about Flair as well, is that he wasn't just doing the same thing to each person. It was mixing it up. So with Greg, he was sort of having this chop war. With other people, it'd be more about getting the low blow or being afraid. And Flair was telling incredible stories in the ring here, really sort of taking control of the match. Michael hangs by his feet by Bulldog and Tornado, nearly getting him out.
That was wicked.
Looked great.
He's always had spots like that in the Rumble too. Yeah. Fantastic. There's never been a guy since then that's coped, I don't think, within the Rumble confines so dramatically well than Kofi Kingston, when he
Kofi's good fun.
Really good. And then Michaels was almost on that, obviously not quite maybe as acrobatic.
No, but it's also Kofi's a bit gimmicky as well. Michaels made it believable. Yeah. And we expect it from Kofi, but we don't expect him to win. And part of the excitement, part of the fun of a Rumble these days is what's Kofi going to do this time. Next in, we have Nikolai Volkov, who comes with a beaming smile on his face, really happy. The crowd were booing him at this point, so I don't know if his face run was really working in the way that they'd
hoped it would.
Or maybe, I think
obviously it was Slaughter had become face now, so it was.
Flair gets the figure of four on Greg Valentine, another great moment. So Greg Valentine's finisher for a long time has been the figure four.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Even that great match with Ronnie Garvin at one of the previous Royal Rumbles, where he's using
that was great.
It was a good match, man.
What Ronnie Garvin's best of the series we've been covering.
Man. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Repo Man then takes out Volkov, which I thought was an interesting decision. I didn't expect Repo Man to get anyone out. Next in, we have the Big Boss Man, who comes in and goes after Repo Man at the start.
They've got a rivalry, haven't they?
Well, it's the bad guy versus the good guy.
And also,
the US service.
The guy robbing people and whatever.
But he's not robbing.
Well, but
he's a repossession.
But everybody.
He actually works within the confines of the law.
Everybody thought he was a burglar, and that's what Bossman obviously thought when he came into the ring. He was like, "You're going to burgle everybody, so I'm going to take you out because I'm the long arm of the law."
I think what happened is Vince McMahon went to McDonald's with Pat Patterson, and they sat there, and Pat Patterson bought a Happy Meal. And they was looking at the box and they saw the Hamburglar and they went, "That's a great gimmick."
You're onto something there.
You're onto something. Repo Man. Davey Boy Smith and Flair, again, working great together. Bossman tosses out Repo Man. So Davey Boy and Flair have done a lot of work in this match. At this point, a shoulder lift from Flair takes out Bulldog, with him doing exactly the same to the Texas Tornado a few seconds later. So two of the biggest guys in the Rumble, in terms of Flair's historical fighting and certainly within the Rumble, are eliminated. Hercules is in next. Shawn Michaels is taken out by Tito Santana. I thought that was a strange move, but I suppose Michaels was heel. Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah, I see Michaels' face, but he's not. He's heel now, so that'll be why.
It's very difficult not to.
I imagine them two could have put on some wicked matches. They would have done some awesome work. Flair high-fives the Barbarian before attacking him. Barbarian tries to take out Flair. Hercules attacks from behind, sending him and Hercules then goes out as well because Bossman throws him out. So it's just Flair and Bossman. They have a little bit of an exchange in the ring, and then Flair takes out Bossman. Flair is in the ring by himself, and I love these moments.
Does the flop? He flops as well, which was the Flair flop.
The Flair flop, the flip flop,
the flip floppy Flair,
flippy flop Flair,
flip flop Flair, Flair.
No man, it was good.
Yeah.
Next, Roddy Piper comes out. Crowd gets a massive pop. Everyone wants to see Roddy and Flair. They've had a lot of back and forth recently. Both go under the ropes and fight outside the ring. The crowd are going for this, man. Really going for it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's that element of, could Piper win 2 belts in one night, even though he's never won a belt before as well. So they built it up perfectly. Piper does the aeroplane swing, so he puts Flair on his shoulders and spins him around, and then locks Flair into a sleeper. Flair goes to sleep, and this is as the next opponent enters, who is Jake the Snake.
Yeah, this was good too. This was a nice. That was one of my favourite moments of the Rumble, where you've got the sleeper. You got Roddy Piper with the sleeper, and then
think Flair could go?
Jake's watching him. He's inviting.
As soon as Jake comes in, he goes into the bottom right hand turnbuckle and just sits and watches for a bit. Which is great, man. A great tactic, a great heel move, a great snake move, perfect for Jake's character. Great. Then he goes to attack Piper later on. I was hoping I was going to play something about, if you put someone to sleep, the body weight becomes more, so you can't then get them out of the Rumble. I was hoping it was going to go that route and just leave off Jake for a little bit longer, but it didn't happen. Flair goes to thank Jake at this point and gets a short clothesline for his appreciation, which was really nice. Jake nearly gets the DDT on Flair, but he's broken up by Roddy. A really tight succession of moves here. Flair locks on the figure 4, but again, that's on Jake, but that's broken up by Roddy. And then we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan come in, obviously after Flair at this point. I mean, what else is he going to do? But it soon ends up being Roddy and Flair again. The crowd are back into it. Beautiful
moments here as well. Just fantastic back and forth. And
there's so many moments in this Rumble to mention.
There's a lot of times in the ring where you're like, any one of these guys, if you didn't know the results, could win and could have a good, like the chemistry between Jake and Flair. That moment, that you can't outsnake the snake kind of thing. And I love that. That was nice. It was like it's like 2 of the greatest heels in the business.
Having going at each other.
Battle of minds. That was nice. Very quick, but very nice.
It was great. 18 is IRS. Erwin R. Shyster.
This was odd as well because IRS didn't really have a few going on at the minute, but then Virgil pops in.
He had sort of a thing going with Bossman.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Bossman.
But Bossman's obviously out of the Rumble already.
Yeah.
So.
And then that was interesting.
He was a good worker with IRS, and I think he was quite the enhancement talent. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
The company needs
sadly,
it.
Perhaps used in the same way that his sons have been used in.
Probably.
Very sad that. Except obviously without a world title win, but Bray has one. But sad.
Well, Heenan keeps stating during this Rumble that it's not Flair to Flair, which I thought was a great line that he kept using over and over again. Then we see IRS and Hacksaw Jim Duggan going out of it. Yeah, Hacksaw wasn't selling IRS's punches. And IRS weren't doing a very good job at selling Duggan's punches, actually, either.
Yeah, those two didn't put on a great performance. I mean, Hacksaw is there for,
USA.
Enhancement, I think. Both of them are enhancement talents.
Well, I mean, you've got to remember Hacksaw did win the very first Rumble.
That's true.
The first recognised Rumble.
All right, you can find information about that
on our channel. Next up, we have Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Not a lot of big spots in this part of the Rumble. It had quietened down a little bit as it was sort of building in, which you expect in most Rumbles. At number 20, Undertaker comes down with good. Paul Bearer.
That was a nice pick for it was because obviously you had that 20 to 30 stipulation for them. Yeah. So I mean, if it was me, I'd have said maybe 28, 29, maybe 30. But I
think we got to see a bit of the Undertaker in the ring here, so I think that's good.
Yeah, I suppose it's about giving the fans more time with characters they want to see.
So Undertaker gets in the ring and straight away goes after Jimmy Snuka, punches him basically, and he flies out of the ring. Which was a nice reference to the WrestleMania, the WrestleMania match that they've just had, and the very first match of Undertaker's streak as well, of course. Then he starts choking Flair out in the corner. We sort of see the eyes roll back, the iconic image that we've seen.
This weird sound that he does, for certainly the early part of his career, he always does that choking, this weird sound that sounds like he's, dying inside or something. Yeah,
well, he didn't have the sort of moves yet, but that choke was really strong, wasn't it? And it really worked with his character great. Jake gets... Hacksaw against The Undertaker. He didn't stand a chance, did he? So in 21, we have Macho Man come down. He gets in the ring and straight away he's looking out for Jake.
It's amazing.
He does such a good job of selling it, even without the commentators saying anything. You know exactly what he's doing, and that's what he was great
around. He's freaking out.
He is. Jake isn't in the ring. Jake slid out of the ring to get out of the way. So as Macho Man sort of looking around for people, he stumbles into the Undertaker, and the Undertaker sort of gets a bit of advantage of him. At this point, Jake sort of sneakily gets back into the ring. Macho Man catches him, jumps onto him, and immediately gets the advantage. It's great stuff. Beautiful. And Macho Man throws out Jake.
Which was a great way to improve the feud. But then of course, you were saying it just builds from there, doesn't it? Yeah,
well, Macho Man dives out of the ring over the top rope, which is we'll go into that in a second, and starts attacking Jake on the floor. Really sort of selling that he hates this person after everything that's happened with him and Elizabeth and that sort of storyline from this Tuesday in Texas. So really great moment. It brings in the question of Macho Man going over the top of the ring. So Gorilla sort of covers it up over commentary by saying something like, to be eliminated in the Rumble, you need to have propulsion from someone else or some rubbish.
It needs to be from somebody else throwing you over,
Yeah, which isn't right, I mean, it's making things too top, making things too complicated. All you need is a simple rule. If you go over the top rope and your foot hits that bottom, you're done. Just make it simple. And there are other times that we've seen this in the Rumble, like the Great Khali did it as well at one point, didn't he? And he unintentionally, when going to chase someone, climbed over the top rope. I believe he was supposed to roll under, but just forgot.
Yeah, and
the crowd just started
he got
booing
back in
instantly.
And he's not. No, people aren't having it. And you were saying that you would hope that Khali has a better reputation. I mean, so not Khali. You would hope that Macho Man has a better reputation than
Khali has a better reputation than Macho. That's what you nearly said, dear.
What I said was there would be an interesting match. Khali and Savage. I think that Khali's actually a better. No, I'm kidding. I can't even do that.
Who's better than Khali or Zeus?
It's a tough one, man. Gonna give it to Zeus because he's a more exciting gimmick.
Are you actually doing it just to joke around?
No, I'm serious. Khali.
Seriously.
Zeus over Khali, but Macho over Khali.
All right. Well, obviously.
So
it brings out the question of why he was not eliminated. It's a bit weird. Next up, we have Flair, who does a low blow to The Undertaker.
Doesn't sell it.
Doesn't sell it whatsoever, just sort of walks it off.
Because it takes his dead balls.
Do you think he had no feeling in them balls? In them tombstones?
I believe he can calling them to sit up to attention when he needs to.
Yeah, what's his wife called?
Michelle McCool.
Yeah, I think
he definitely can make his balls do some supernatural shit.
Or his urns.
His urns. His shiny golden urns.
Oh, yes.
The spirit of Paul Bearer. It's forever within inside The Undertaker.
Oh, I'm just thinking about Paul Bearer orgasming now.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
So next in we have the Viking, the Berserker.
The Berserker, yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of lesser of the hairy, unkept characters
weird,
that WWE has at the moment. I'm a fan of Skinner doing it.
I don't mind Skinner doing it.
The Berserker's kind of got... It's kind
of confused. Like a cartoon, man.
Yeah, it's kind of confused.
He looks like something from like a Hanna-Barbera type.
Yeah.
Like the Flintstones or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's,
And there was a place for that this time, maybe a little bit, but we're cynical because we watch the present day product. So we were a little bit more cynical when we approached the bushwhackers and. But
like I say, when you've got characters that like Macho, who's so colourful but such a talent in the ring, like incredible to watch. Shawn Michaels, another one. He looks cartoony. He looks like at the minute he's got this sort of white leather jacket and. Mullet and weird little glasses, but such a great worker, it's not just about look. It's I respect a lot of these guys. I don't respect the look of the Berserk. I think it's daft. Nice suplex off the apron at this point from Savage to Flair. Flair looked like he was going to go at this point. It's a nice little shot, a risky call. Woo! Undertaker was choking out everyone, just going from person to person. There's one point where he's got a double choke on Piper and Flair, which looks great, man. In 23, we have your favourite man, Virgil. Lonely Virgil.
Lonely Virgil, I love him. And he has a really good show in this Rumble, too. Goes in and starts like a little mini feud with IRS.
It goes against IRS. I quite like that, because IRS was I don't know if he had or was going to form.
They were in cahoots at this time.
Yeah, with Ted DiBiase, obviously the money gimmick that they both share. But why Virgil's not a tax dodger, is he?
Well, I don't know about nowadays, but
he didn't earn it. Well, yeah, probably is nowadays. Back then, but his like character wouldn't have avoided tax.
It's
surely.
True. Yeah, it's true now.
So the IRS has no reason to be so angry.
Well, there you go. IRS just angry at everybody.
Absolutely, angry at his gimmick, which he did such good work with that gimmick, considering it was an awful gimmick.
What it was. Yeah, I'd love to have seen it. It wasn't possible to turn it face, but that would have been fantastic.
It would have been funny. Yeah, no, you can't have a tax collector face.
No.
A Russian face, they've done all right with. Although I don't know if the audience got it enough. Volkov, yeah. Next up, we have an anti-American heel, Colonel Mustafa, the previously known Iron Sheik, led down by General Adnan, and they marched down to the ring. I think Heenan makes a comment about Mustafa being Saddam Hussein's right-hand man at one point.
Still not out of the woods yet.
Let's just keep that story away, shall we?
Still not out of the woods yet, WWE.
Undertaker and Savage go at each... Well, you'd think they'd bloody learn, wouldn't you? You think they'd bloody learn, and they never do. Undertaker and Savage...
Vince McMahon, for years after the Attitude Era, was perving on his divas, and I'm pretty sure he still... I wonder, what did he make a comment about someone recently... was it Asuka? There's a rumour that he made a comment on Asuka doing so well because she's Asian and cute.
Oh,
and
man.
Apparently that's why Vince...
if you think she's cute, wait till he sees like Kairi Sane.
Yeah, that's what... I know that was it. It was Kairi Sane.
Yeah, it would have been.
Cute and adorable and wears a pirate hat. That's why Vince was a big fan of her winning because he obviously just... Power does funny things to you, man.
Apparently so.
But years he's been. I know.
The Attitude Era stuff.
Kiss Trish Stratus like a decade ago. All that stuff. Weird. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Vince. We'll still work for you.
Yeah, and chicken suits. Undertaker and Savage are going at each other. Savage is described as not being afraid of the Undertaker, which I thought was really great.
Yeah.
Flair and Piper at each other as well, and Gorilla starts calling Ric Flair Martel at this time, which I thought was quite ironic.
There's a lot of similarities. Actually,
there's a lot of similarities between this Rumble and Martel shown in the last Rumble.
Really great.
Yeah,
I have new respect for Martel after that.
Yeah, after the last Rumble, he was excellent. But I think they were trying it out for this Rumble in a sense, and Martel sort of recording that from being an early entry. It was good stuff, man. Speaking of Rick Martel comes in next in bright pink panties. Didn't really like this look as much.
Not quite panties, but tights. Yeah, they were knickerbockers
in Knickerbocker Glory Arena.
They weren't actually knickers. Don't panic. We're not going to.
Don't go searching the internet for Rick Martel in knickers because you won't find what you're looking for. You might find some
weird shit.
Everything's
got you can find everything on the internet now. Don't you know that, Anthony?
I do know that. So Martel immediately goes after Flair. So although Martel's a heel, I quite like the story that was being told here. That Flair's approaching Martel's record time, and Martel's not going to let him get that. I wish the commentators had played on that a little bit more.
They didn't really make too much of a big deal.
But I think that's what they were trying to go for in the ring. Certainly, why have Martel attack Flair if not? I mean, you know. And he did. He nearly got out Flair in the similar vein as everyone was nearly getting him out last year. Macho Man at this point takes out Colonel Mustafa. Yeah, and then 26, the Immortal Puke, Hulk Hogan. He comes in. He didn't do too bad in this Rumble. I mean, Hulk in a Rumble, as I've said before, he always makes it feel bigger. And you'd be happy to know that this is actually the last Rumble that he's in. He is not in any other Royal Rumbles. Did you know that?
Well, now I do.
I'm saying that in 2017. Do you think there's any chance Hulk Hogan will end up in the Rumble of 2018?
It's too small a deal for him. He's got to come back on a one-shot deal at WrestleMania or something.
Do you think?
He's going to come back for Raw. They're doing the Raw 25th in January.
Is the Raw the 25th before the Rumble?
It'll be... Well, yeah, actually, when's the Rumble?
Then he could end up being in the Rumble.
Yeah, well, they're due back. Foley's due to appear, so is Shawn Michaels, so is Hogan, Undertaker, and a few others.
Cool, man. Be good stuff. Can't wait to see it.
Let's see if Jake pops up.
Yeah.
Because I know he was on the 1,000 one, wasn't he?
Yeah. Hulk Hogan eliminates Undertaker and Berserker. Virgil and Hacksaw eliminate each other. I didn't understand that. Virgil and Hacksaw, what sort of thing is that? It sounds to me like some sort of weird botch.
Yeah.
Probably something with Virgil caused because he was a bit more inexperienced than a lot of the other talent in there.
Perhaps.
Didn't make no sense to me. So 27, we have Skinner coming in.
My boy with his tobacco.
Tobacco, yeah. Great selling again by Heenan and Flair all the way through, man. Hogan and Flair going at each other, with Hogan nearly throwing him over. This is probably one of the closest times we're going to get to the Hogan-Flair match that people really wanted to see. There was some beautiful moments where where Hogan no-sold the chops and doing, that was really There was
nice.
a nice suplex on the outside of the ring as well at one point. IRS has got Hogan's shirt at this point and is going around strangling people with it, which I thought was nice, especially with him having a tie. And there was so many times that people had used his tie to their advantage, didn't there? Martel at this point takes out Skinner. He doesn't really have much impact in this Rumble. 28, we have Sergeant Slaughter. Heenan says at this point, and it's great, if Flair wins, I'll never say anything bad again.
Yeah, that's great.
That was really funny, man. Really funny.
He's going for it. I love it.
Sergeant Slaughter does nothing. Sid Justice comes in at 29, really selling him as a face at this point to the audience. They're really behind him, goes straight after IRS. Justice, he had such a wide body.
He was
didn't he?
henchman. He was on it. He looked beastie.
He did. Yeah.
We talk about. Nothing on Bulldog, but it was.
I don't know. He just really wide.
He was. Yeah,
really wide, like a good Ziggler. Next up is
what?
Next up in number 30
if we did Ziggler versus Sid, I would definitely win.
Okay, cool. We'll play that on 2K18 later on. Next up, we have Warlord. That's a really anticlimactic last entrant, isn't it?
Yes.
Warlord.
Yes. Although I like the Warlord more now.
Really?
I just think he's definitely become better, hasn't he? He's definitely
his talent. Yeah,
we talked about his improvement over the last, half an hour to an hour.
It's just one of the. For the final entrance, it's a bit boring.
I see what you mean.
Nowadays, as a final entrance, there's always some sort of shock, be that a good shock or a bad shock.
Yeah.
There's always something there. So Slaughter's Irish whipped into the corner by Justice for elimination. I thought it looked quite heavy, actually, how Slaughter fell. He sort of got whipped by Justice and just went, whoa, straight over. Really impressive. Most impressive thing I've seen Slaughter do. Flair and Hogan have taken the fight to the floor. This is what I was talking about with the suplex on the floor earlier. Next up, Piper holds IRS's tie and uses that basically to drag him out from the other side of the ring. Justice and Hogan work together to take out Warlord, and then Justice takes out Martel and Piper. Clever little way, I suppose, of getting rid of Piper by putting him with someone else.
Yeah.
Without it being sort of Justice or Flair
one-on-one, and then it definitely makes Piper look a little weaker. So you're right, it was a good point.
And they needed to, I don't think they necessarily, because the title change had only happened a couple of times before with Bret Hart. I don't think they were sure yet on who his next feud was going to be with. So you could have either set that up now, or if you don't know who it is, get him out with someone else, and it being a part of that bigger thing that was happening with Sid Justice and Hulk Hogan. So the final 4 is Macho Man, Sid Justice, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan. What a fantastic 4 that is to the end.
Beautiful.
Macho's taken out by interference by Flair when Justice is attacking. As Hogan's trying to take out Flair, and this is a big point in the match, Justice betrays and takes out Hogan. Yeah,
which of course sparks quite a brilliant chain of events.
A brilliant chain of events that leads to an awful match. Hogan holds Justice's hand as he's in the ring. Yeah, he does. He holds his hand. He holds his hand and then pulls him out because Ric Flair gets a bit of leverage on the backside, and Ric Flair wins. Heenan says, yes, 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 which was great. Yeah. Like a prototype of Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Justice and Hogan get in the ring and square up, refs around them, build
setting
up
some terrible WrestleMania match.
Did you know that they actually re-edited the audio in the match for the video release? So when Justice took out Hogan, the crowd cheered, and Gorilla even said that it was fair that he'd done that, and it was just part of the Rumble. They actually re-recorded all the audio because they wanted Justice to come across as the heel in it. So in the video release that we watch and all the promos at the show after it, but in the live it wasn't that audio. Also, in terms of the Rumble, a lot of great action, great story. Ric Flair completely held it all together.
Absolutely fantastic the whole time. Great promo afterwards as well. Where
incredible.
He's
a real world champion with a tear in my eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the greatest moment in my life.
I've got a new love for Flair after this.
Well, what he did is he was the territory champion. He's wrestled all over. He's been in Starrcade. He's been in WCW, and WWF brought him in. Give him this opportunity to be the winner of the Rumble and hold the title, and he made that title across the wrestling world look incredible, because he said at that point, this is bigger than anything else I've ever done. Any other. So at the same time as making your company look great, you're shitting on every other territory and company that Flair's worked for. Clever booking. And that's also the promo where Mean Gene is talking to him, and he tells, put out that cigarette, he says to someone, and nobody knows who that was properly.
Out of camera,
yeah. Flair didn't actually find out he was winning the Rumble until he got there on that day. As has happened to a few people. I think Rey Mysterio had the same thing.
All right.
Yeah, they don't always know. And there was a lot of talk about him entering at number 1. It was Heenan's idea to have him enter as number 1 as the first man to sort of overcome the length of the Rumble. I think Vince ended up putting him at 3. He also broke the record for Rick Martel in an hour and 2 seconds, which is brilliant. And this was the first Rumble to feature a title belt. And we won't see that again until 2016, where Roman Reigns was forced to put his title on the line, and it was Triple H that run that Rumble, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good.
Like
not as good as this Tuesday in Texas.
No, I mean, a lot of people say this is the best Rumble. I'm not gonna make that judgment yet. I quite like some of the later ones. I think it's a great Rumble. I think Flair does amazing. The best match of the night is easily the Rumble. I think we both agree on that. For me, the performer of the night. Who's your performer of the night? See, I'd have to go for Flair.
Yeah, it's got to be really, hasn't it? I'm just trying to think. I was trying to think of anyone outside.
Was the other person in the
Michaels
Rumble?
Was good.
David
Bulldog
Boyman.
Was good.
Bulldog did a great job. Yeah. So, and how many stars would you give this show?
I'm going to give it a solid 3 because of the Rumble.
Yeah, I'd
everything
go 3.5.
Else, if the Rumble wasn't there, the Rumble wasn't there, I'd have said 2.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, it's sort of worth watching the first match and the Rumble. I think out of everything.
Yeah.
Please don't go back and watch Dom with the Bushwhackers. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please like, comment, and join us on our channel. Gimme a whole year.
Find us on Patreon.
On Patreon and Facebook and Twitter.
You can buy cups and you can buy T-shirts
on Redbubble.
And if Vince wants to buy us, and make us wear chicken suits, we're down with that too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
all right, take it easy, keep it gay.